for folks to get back on. So yeah, so now that I did the preferences thing, and so yeah, it's that security stuff, and I can just show you guys. You can see this now, Sonia. You can see what the security and privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, this is what I had to check in Catalina to so that you guys, can see my screen. What's
okay.
going on. Yeah. Yeah. Sweet. Okay. For those of you guys that are on Catalina. All right. So, okay. So I'm going to meet you guys again. Feel free to chat. Okay. So here's my session. Those of you that are transmutants recognize this set. And I've done some new things since the last time that I worked with you guys. So I'm going to kind of show those things. So first of all, I just want to show how I've everything routed. So there's a lot of craziness going on in here, but right now we're just really interested in this one violin track. And for some reason, yeah, okay, got it stick on there. All right, so on the violin track, let me just play my violin real quick. Just do a little tap. Okay, you guys can hear my violin? Type yes in the chat if you can. Yeah, sweet, it's all working. Awesome. So on this violin track, I've got 4 different chains of violin. So one is my regular violin, one is my octaver violin. For some reason it keeps going to, let me see if there's like a weird MIDI mapping or something. Let me just see if that gets rid of it. Boom. Okay, no, that does not get rid of it. Stay. I'm just gonna hold this down then. Okay. Weirdness going on. Octaver violin and then the delay violin. Okay, it's staying now. So on the regular violin track, I've got this Improv Looper, which I use with my foot controller, which you guys just saw. And I will try one more time to connect that, see if that works. And then I've got an auto looper, which just fires off automatically. And then same thing for the octaver. I've got, oh, wow, my computer is really glitching out. I think this is just like a Catalina. This is so odd. Don't upgrade to Catalina, guys, obviously. It's just, yeah, so octave, and then the delay has the same things. Okay. Let me see if I can click there. Yes, now I can click. I've got the improv and then the auto, and then with the delay, I just have an improv. So I've got the 2 different loopers so that I can, you know what, maybe just delete this track. See if it will not go to that track if I delete it. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So, yep, got the improv and then the auto octave, and then I've got the delay. Oh, see, that was weird. It did go away now that I deleted the vocal chart. Anyway, so on each one of these tracks, I've got, like for the regular violin, there's no effect on it. On the octaver violin, I've got pitch proof, which you transmutants know is the best pitch shifting plugin of all time. So definitely cop this, and it's free. If you're on Catalina, you have to jump through some hoops in order to make it work and get past all the security stuff. So just know that. And then on the delay violin, I've got just the Ableton delay. And then I've got this like wild looper, and I don't have my full setup right now because I've got that packed away for my live set, but I've got all of these Eventide H9 sounds audio effects that I can use with this. So I just call it the wild looper because I could just choose like any of the different effects and then loop that through this looper here. And that's also an improv looper. So the way that that works is I've got the mappings on the loopers to my foot controller. So if I go into key map mode, because my foot controller is basically like a QWERTY keyboard for your foot, it's called the POC. And again, there's like so many different foot controllers out there that you can use. So it's just really up to you. I also use the soft step, the Keith McMillan soft step, but this is QWERTY mappable. So I have on each looper, I've got the multi-purpose transport button mapped. And so what this does is 1 click starts recording, and then 2 clicks it stops, and then you can toggle between play and undo if you want to redo, and then you can clear here. So these are like kind of the main controls that you want to use. Now I have this set up to record 4 bars and then go into overdub mode. And so that's just a preference, a personal preference here. And by clicking the multi-purpose button 1 time, it's just going to go into record mode. And then you'll see it switch to overdub mode. And it'll just be in overdub mode infinitely until you decide to go to play mode. And so this button just toggles back and forth between play and overdub. And if you click twice, it stops it, and then you can just clear it. So the way that I like to set it up is to follow the song tempo and not control the song, because I want just the session to control and dictate what the tempo is going to be. Same thing with all the auto loopers and stuff like that. So the way that I have this routed, and you guys are going to hear, I'm going to just solo my in-ears here. So let me know in the chat if you can hear a click. Yes, awesome. Okay, so right, I'm just letting you guys hear my click right now, just so you can hear what I normally hear during my show, but obviously the audience isn't hearing that. So usually I have this set to a different output, which is just my in-ears, but for today's purposes, so that, you know, you guys can hear it, I'm actually just gonna mute all the rest of these tracks right now, so we're just listening to this track. And the reason why I'm doing that versus soloing it is because when you solo a track like this, if there's any MIDI stuff that's happening, which there's quite a lot of MIDI automation going on in my session, it won't automate that MIDI. So it's, in the past, like, I've soloed things and it's driven me crazy. I'm like, why is my automation not working? Because as soon as I click solo, then a bunch of this MIDI stuff, if that's not soloed, it's not going to happen, to automate. So let me show you some of the automation. So the first way, obviously, that I loop is just the improvisational looper. So that's like me controlling it with my foot controller. I've got the 4 buttons on my foot controller that are all mapped to the multi-purpose button. And then if I click that same button twice, it stops it. And then if I have a function button, which is just another button on the top hand right, and if I click that and then the button again, it clears the looper. So I've got basically 3 different commands per pedal that I'm using on these improv loopers, and that's for each of the 4 loopers. Now, I'm switching between the loopers in an interesting way. So I've got a Max for Live device, and if I go into, I've got this like utility section here. So if I go into the utility section and go into my Violin looper MIDI, I've got this, it's called a PK button 2. So basically when I hit any of these, like 1, 2, or 3 here, it's going to change which looper it's on. So you can see that it just moved it to looper 3. Oh, so I actually forgot that all of these are feeding my So you can see how these are routed. So I have to have these turned on basically. So we might hear it a little bit louder than usual. So let me know if it's too much. So that's the delay, right? And so with my foot controller, I can change. If I go here, again, my foot controller is not syncing up with my new computer right now, but I can just click 1, 2, or 3, and then it's automatically going to change to like the octaver, right? When I click that. And I'm happy to share this with you guys. You guys know, the transmutants know that I'm very free with sharing this, so I can share these Max for Live devices if you want. So that's how I'm switching back and forth between the different types of sounds with the looper, just to have them all, like, I don't want them all to be playing at the same time, but I wanted them all to be on one track. And so that was the way that I found where I could just move between each of the looper channels and get a different sound very swiftly and quickly. So that took me a little bit of time to try and figure out. And once I figured it out, I was like, all right, this is the wave. So that just is what works for me personally. So I've got the button mapper here, and then I've got this manual mapper mapped to the chain selector. So basically what that does is that's moving the chain selector here. And so you see how it's grayed out. I can't control it here because it's being controlled over by the Max for Live app. So hopefully that makes sense. I think it's the kind of thing that if you guys get it, get the Max for Live devices and kind of try it, you can, use it yourself. I would just love to know, like, if you can type in the chat where you are as a looper, like if you consider yourself a beginner, if you consider yourself advanced. Just curious, like if we need to go kind of a step back, I can also like start from scratch. Okay, so we've got a couple beginners in here. Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna show you, get someone in the middle, sort of advanced, sweet. Oh, use the Boss 505. Okay, awesome. I'm sure you could teach us some stuff then. Okay, so there's a lot of different levels here and different people that are using different things. And yeah, I would love to know like what controller you guys are using too. I see I use a push innovation pad to loop. So I would love to know what pedals or what controllers you're using, and if you're using the Ableton Looper or if you're just looping on the track itself. So going back to the routing thing, so I've got all of my tracks being routed to these returns here, and so this is how I mix my in-ears. You can see I've got on G is my in-ear monitors, and you can see that I've got my violin a lot louder than the rest of the channels. So essentially that's because I like to hear my violin the loudest in my in-ears, and I'm sure those of you that are instrumentalists or vocalists probably like to hear it a lot like your main instrument louder in your mix than anything else. So you can see that the violin is like turned all the way up to 0. Everything else is -3. And then this track here, G, is my actual inner track itself. So right now I'm not using my actual in-ears, but I do have the JH Audio 16s, and then I also use the Angies. But there's so many different in-ears out there. I mean, we could talk all day about in-ears. Really, it's just up to your personal preference and what you want to spend on the in-ears. So going back to the routing stuff. So everything is routed to these channels here. and then routed to the in-ears. So when I play something from the violin track, I have it sent to this violin group, and it's sending to sends only, which is violin C. And then that's got a bunch of different effects and things on it. So for instance, so that's with the octaver effect. And then I can turn some of these effects up. Get some cool sounds. And these are all on my ohm controller when I'm playing live. I'm using knobs for these things. So I've got a bunch of different effects on this channel. And I've got some effects that are before the looper rack. So I've got some pre-effects and I've got some post-effects. So the pre-effects are obviously if I want to capture these effects in the loop, then I can like turn this on. I don't think I've authorized this one yet since I got this new computer, but so you can turn these on. And then once I capture them with the looper, it's going to capture with those effects. So again, going back to the different types of loopers, the first one is the improv looper. And then the second one is the auto looper. So I'm going to show you how that works. So there's a couple of different ways to auto loop. One is this way where I've got some MIDI notes in here. So I'm using something called the IAC bus. This is definitely an advanced tip. I'm going to go back to kind of more of a beginner mind in just a few minutes. So, but after 3 bars, it's telling the looper to start looping. So if we go here, so let me go ahead and try that real quick. I actually have to be on the clean violin sound. This is the pain about getting a new computer. Like nothing works right out of the gate. You got to configure everything, but hopefully it'll be more powerful. All right, so now I'm back on the clean one. Okay. So then it stops automatically, right? So the way that I did that was, again, in this track, I have it set to E-2. And then here, it does a combination of F-2 and F#-2. So I actually have the looper mapped doubly. So I've got it mapped with my keyboard, and then I've also got it mapped with MIDI. So we look at, and we see here E-2, and then this one here is going to be the F#-2, and then we've got the stop, which is F-2 as well. Then you can see the combination of things that is telling the looper to do its thing so that I don't have to control anything with my foot pedal or think about anything during the song because it's doing it all for me. So I just go into the looper mode, and then I can go to the drop here, and it's going to stop the loop. And then if I go back down, kind of down here, I think I accidentally cleared the loop somewhere where because I went out of sequence. But anyway, so I usually bring it back in there, and I've got all these other violin stops and clears. So these actually clear the loop automatically for me. So if I'm ever looping in the middle of a set or in between songs, then I can just, like, for instance, at the end of this song, the ending, I go to this intro here, it's going to automatically clear the stop and clear the violin loop. So that just like protects me, because if I ever do a loop and then I forget that I did it and I change the song and it changes the tempo, it's going to sound hella weird, because the looper does not warp audio. And so you just want to kind of be cognizant of that when you do improv stuff and you do looping and then you start a new song. So that just kind of protects me from just making weird sounds, although sometimes weird sounds are cool. But so this stop and clear, if we go in here, I've got that this basically on every track. So it's like F -2 and F sharp -2. So if I go to the looper, and then I go to the auto looper, you can see again that I've got these things mapped. And so it's just nice to have that, just to have some sort of automation happening for me that just has my back. How many of you guys are using the IAC bus or using any automation in Ableton Live? Does anyone, who doesn't know what I'm talking about? Sonia, Aaron knows. Okay, some of you don't know what I'm talking about. So basically there is an audio MIDI setup on every single computer, Mac computer and PC computer. There's options on PCs too. Ben, what is the PC version? It's like MIDI yoke, I think, something like that. Jane uses automation. Sweet. Okay, so in the IAC, if you turn this IAC driver on, then it shows up as a MIDI option in your preferences. And so I've got these MIDI notes here. It's basically like a third hand. Oh, it's loop back. Okay. Yeah, I love you, loop back, actually. So it's like a third hand for you, essentially. And what it does is it allows you to send the MIDI out of Ableton Live back into Ableton Live. So essentially you're just sending MIDI messages back into the program of things that you would press, like if you wanted to usually like press a button, or if you usually like twisted a knob at a certain point, you can just have it automatically do that for you. So that's like a whole other like process. Yeah, MIDI yoke, MIDI aux, yeah, for Windows. Thanks, Ben. So this is like a whole like rabbit hole of things that we can get into, but just know that using the IAC driver, you can stop, you can clear, you can just create automation for your looper. So that is another way that you can loop that I have been using. And then yet another way is by automating the looper itself. So for instance, if we go to so if we go to my song Transmute, we go to the looper rack and go to the looper. So you can see that I've programmed into the looper, record, overdub, and then play back. So if let me just play the beginning of this song. Scrub ahead a little bit. So you can see how it's automating, and then it goes to the octaver one, it goes to the delay one. So essentially what I did was I just mapped out, like if I bring this track here into the arrangement view, you can see that I have these, mouse is so slow right now, Bluetooth. So it's got these markers actually still written in. And so if I go into automation mode and then go into my looper, you can see, okay, this is where the violin comes in, violin 1, and then this is the violin 2, and then it plays it back, right? And then on the next looper, which is the octave violin, it goes into record here, and then it plays back. So I've got a bunch of different automations happening. And what I did was I just took this dummy clip and then I put it into my session so that it can automate that way. So yeah, Sonia says you can automate filters and feedback delay and all kinds of stuff. And Daniel is wondering about why I'm using, is there a reason why I'm using both methods? So the first method, so this is like completely just going to be the same way every single time, versus the other way I still have some wiggle room to do some improvisation because I can bring the parts in and out, versus this I can't bring the parts in and out. It's just, as soon as I start the song, it's going to start firing off these loops, and it's completely just programmed to however long the song is. So it really just depends on your use of it and what you want to do. So there's other ways to do looping, but those are the three main ways that I loop. Now you can loop within the track itself by just, going to monitor in and then doing and creating a clip this way. And that's what some people really like to do, especially because if you create a clip that way and then you change the tempo, it's going to also, it's not going to change the pitch, which it does with the looper device itself. So that's kind of the overview of the three different ways that I do looping. So Greg, what's up, Greg? We got another transmutant in the house from Transmute 2. You guys, transmutants, we're gonna be doing like a mastermind. I think Eugen's gonna hit you guys up. So yeah, we'll do a mastermind soon. I think we're gonna make it open to the public, just a free thing where we can all just kind of nerd out. I definitely want to do more of this stuff. Oh, Eugen just did. Yes. Oh man, we got all the peeps on here tonight. Yeah. Awesome. So I would love to take some questions. You guys have any questions? And I thought maybe I would just like start out with just like a blank session to show the people that are kind of newer to this. Yes, next week on Wednesday at 5 PST. So yeah, you guys who aren't transmutants, please come and chill with us because we're going to be like showing what everyone's been working on. We're going to hang out. Am I saying your name right? Ailey was wondering how many times a year Transmute will be offered. So we're doing it again in April, and we're doing it again in the fall. So it is coming up soon. Okay, so we've got a looper. Cool. All right. Kevin's on here too. Oh my God. Oh, another transmutant. This is amazing. I love it. Okay, so we've got our looper. And I'm just gonna do monitor N. Let me see if I get my violin coming through. There we go. Okay, so immediately I'm gonna just choose how many bars I want to record. So I'll do 4 bars, and then I'm gonna do none on the song control, and then I'm just gonna follow song tempo. And again, this is because I want to dictate what the tempo is in my in-ears and follow that. So those are the main things that I map. Now, I don't have a controller plugged in, so I'm just gonna like do this manually. So I guess, yeah, I'll show you the different ways that you can automate it, right? So if we come over here, we could actually just, let me just bring in some piece of audio here. Sample. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring in something, and then we're just gonna like turn it all the way down because we don't need this audio, and then just make it, just consolidate here and make it however long. And so we go to the automation, we go to the looper, and then we go to the device on, or state, sorry. So for instance, if you want to give yourself like a 4-bar count in, right? Which one of the things I started to show in the first session, or didn't mention exactly, but you guys were hearing a lot of like pre stuff that my in-ears pick up. So for instance, like I have my click running in my in-ears for a couple of bars before certain things fire off. So you can certainly do that in the same way. And now I can go to record mode. So say if I want to record for 4 bars here, and then if I wanted to go into overdub mode, and then if I wanted to go into play mode after that, and then I could go back into overdub. So you get the picture, right? So you kind of are making these kinds of automation lanes. So if we go here, it'll start recording and start doing its thing. And then it goes into overdub mode. So you might have noticed that the automation button, re-enable automation, formerly known as back to arrangement button, came on. And that's because it was in the middle of a loop around, and it's conflicting with what's going on in the looper. But if I bring it over here, it will do the thing. So I'm going to clear this and let's try this again. So after 4 bars, it starts and it does its thing. So that's the quick and easy way of how to do the automation. For your loopers. Okay. So got some other questions. Some stuff about Transmute. Yeah, Eugen is answering that. Thank you. Do you need to be careful not to record too long? I mean, it depends on like how improvisational you want to be and like what your music is like. Like, do you mean how like too long of from a RAM standpoint? I don't think so. I mean, I've never heard, unless your session is just like a beast, which mine is, but I've never run into a problem and I'm doing a lot of looping, so I wouldn't worry about that. Yeah. So another Ruby's asking, I didn't see how you got the track you automated in session. Okay, so what I did was I just took the track here and I grabbed it and I just pressed tab and then I moved it over to the session view, and then we've got all the automation stuff happening over here. So basically I just dragged it and dropped it. Hopefully that helps. How did you get the track in arrangement? Okay, so what I did was I dragged just like a piece of any audio. You can just drag any audio, and then you can just strip the audio out down here with the clip gain. And I did a consolidate clip, so that's Command J or Control J if you're on a PC, and then use this as what's called a dummy clip. So for instance, if I were to add a looper on this track now, then I could go in and start to automate this track and go in and do my thing here. And then I could bring tab and bring this over to the session view. So again, like some people actually like to loop in the arrangement view. If you have a fully produced song and you want to do it the same way every night, then you could just leave your music in arrangement view and just play your instrument or do your vocals or whatever it is that you want to loop with, and you could just leave it completely in arrangement view. Cool. All right. So any other questions? Lucia was asking, the first looper I showed, is it a plugin or is it an Ableton? Yeah. No, there are no basic questions. All questions are welcome. So it is an Ableton. It's in the audio effects, so it's just the Ableton looper. And then I showed Ruby the automated loop. Cool. All right, let's see. Cool. Okay. Well, the effects that you put on the violin channel, certainly. Okay, so let me go back to my other session. Oh, Improv Looper from scratch. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me do that since I'm in this session here. So basically it's just, you don't have these automations here. And then I would just map to my controller, just this button, and this button. And then just make sure I have a click going on. And then yeah, because right now I don't have my controller set up, but basically just map these couple of buttons here, and then have a click going on, and then just when you're ready to improvise, just hit the multi-purpose button and go punch in, and then go into record mode. Hopefully that helps, Sonia. Jane is wondering, can you essentially use everything within Ableton to build a live show? You can use everything in Ableton, like you don't need anything else. But there's a ton that you can do with Ableton, like just a ton. So I definitely don't think you need anything else. I use a few things, but I try to keep it mostly to Ableton plugins in my session, just to like kind of minimize the CPU. Ruby's saying, I don't see the looper in the pull down menu. Okay, so it's gonna be on your audio effects and then looper, and then you're just gonna drag it to the track. And then in the arrangement view, it should show up right there. Okay, so let me go back to my other session. And again, I'm happy to share these resources. So if you guys, I'm assuming everyone signed up via email, so Eugen can send you guys my like violin effect chain if you want. So while we're waiting for this to open and load up, why doesn't everyone just like say where you're from again? Because I think there's some new people and that weren't here at the very beginning, and of course I had to restart because of Catalina. So where are you guys from? Oakland, sweet. Yeah, because we've got Greg is from Singapore, Berkeley, London. Nice. Yo. Uruguay, Canada, Singapore, love it. Yes, yes. Cool. I'm so excited that so many people are here from all over the world tuning in. Yes, Greg, we're so glad that you're safe. Tornado watch, no. Stay safe out there, people. I'm having that weird glitchy kind of issue again, but it's so strange. It's like some sort of mapping thing gone wrong with the vocal. So I'm just gonna delete that for a minute. Go back to the violin. So on the violin, I've got come on, computer. See, even new computers that all the power still get the spinning beach ball of death. Yeah, well, I guess that means it's almost time to wrap up. Why are you being weird? Okay, well, I'll send you the chain so that you guys can check it out, because I think I need to force quit Ableton now. That doesn't always happen, but I'm just running a lot of things to the max here. Cool. So yeah, does anyone want to like say hi or say anything or talk about the state of the world? Affairs? Probably not, right? Kevin's always got the cool hair.
Thank you. You know anybody that's gotten corona yet?
No, corona free.
Yeah, me too.
So
that's good. I went to Costco this morning, and it was a nightmare.
Oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not a Costco member.
I try to stay away from Costco. I was thinking about it too.
Yeah.
From there.
I went to Trader Joe's last night, and this woman was like asking the guy, "But when's the hand sanitizer coming in?" And he was just like, "I don't know." And she's like, "But why don't you know?" I'm like, "Lady, like it's been out for weeks. It's going for like $200 on Amazon."
Someone was like, "Hey, if you want to get toilet paper, you got to get here like when it opens." Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Greg works at Whole Foods. Oh my God, I can only imagine. Oh man. Yeah. So who all is oh yeah, Anthony said that's why he's rocking the 2015. Yeah, because weird shit happens. I mean, and I was rocking the 2015 or 2016, but then that one went in the shop, and then I had to get a new one, and blah blah blah. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try for the new, and that's what happens when you get the new, and sometimes it doesn't work the way that you want it to, but eventually it will. Oh my gosh, so Ben went through this a month ago. Wow. Ben, tell us, what are we in for? Oh, maybe he's not. Wash your hands. Okay. BRB, wash your hands. Okay. I've heard that a few times. Man, yeah, it's getting real. It's getting so real. You're welcome, Ruby, and everyone that said thank you. I appreciate. Oh yeah, happy birthday to yourself. Trying the automation again. Yeah, all the group lessons are suspended. Yay! I'm so glad that you guys are gonna play with Looper tonight. Oh, before we leave, also tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I'm doing another webinar on this same channel on just ideas and ways to earn income during these crazy times. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I have a bunch of ideas, and I would love it if you guys would come and share knowledge and resources with me tomorrow. Definitely we'll do a recording, Greg, for you. But yeah, just gonna have a few, well, hopefully a lot of people on, but this guy Ryan on from this organization, This Tour Life, who does a lot of work for touring musicians and helps them with like health and wellness stuff. And so he's going to be tuning in and presenting as well some ideas that he has. And so yeah, come on tomorrow, same time, same channel, and we'll all just commiserate and try to figure some shit out and hold each other's virtual hands after we wash them.
Hey Laura, it's Aaron here. Have you thought of doing like something like this where people all come and everyone plays one song, but everyone's ready for it?
Yeah, we're talking about doing like a little festival type thing. So definitely open to ideas, since we're going to be like all hanging around indoors for the foreseeable future. I work on American Idol, and the season starts next week, or for me at least, the shows, and it's happening. So I mean, as of now, so they are testing people when you walk in every day to the TV studio. So I have a job still somehow, which is amazing, because everything else in the concert industry is shut down. But like pretty much everything got postponed or shut down. Kevin is saying that there's music festivals inside Minecraft. Wow, that's awesome. And then, are you still doing Twitch, Kevin? Because I know
it kind of fell on the back burner for a little bit, but that's kind of the next thing on my like to-do list is to get that back together. But I made some progress in that area, so I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty happy with it though.
Awesome.
I went to TwitchCon and learned how to do it using OBS, and I'm so glad I'm ahead of the curve on a little bit, but I'm 5 years behind still.
Yeah, I feel like there's untapped potential for like Twitch and music.
Yeah.
There's a little corner of people doing it there, but it's not very big. And I feel like it could be cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. How?
The barrier seems to be upload speeds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, totally. Audio and video in sync too.
Oh, really?
The iRig Duo seems to work for it, though. I know you have one because I used it as a solution.
Yep. I love that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know when you're on Twitch. We'll join in. Kevin's also got a Patreon, y'all. Check out Kevin's Patreon.
Yeah, that thing is also what's the word? Fell on the back burner a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I'll get back into it. It's been on a bit of a break. So.
Oh yeah. Cool. Well, it happens. Yeah, lots of stuff is canceled, everyone. But we're gonna just be hanging online, so just hanging out. All right. Well, cool. I'm gonna go make some dinner and stuff. Yeah. Okay. I'll hang out for a minute if you guys want to drop your Instagrams for people. Facebook Live concert with a PayPal tip jar. That's a good idea. That was going to be one of my suggestions for the live stream tomorrow, is doing a live and then having a tip jar. Yeah, so if you guys have any, oh, Hannah is on here. What's up? Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions of things to talk about tomorrow, if you want to just jump in yourself, just feel free to do that. Aaron's got a new album. It's awesome. Sweet. Well, there's a bunch of folks on here, so I'll just like hang out. Does anyone else want to say anything or like need a virtual hug? I'll give you a hug from here.
I'm excited.
I called this pharmacy and I was like, do you have any rubbing alcohol? And they're like, no place has rubbing alcohol. I'm like, okay. I have an aloe plant in my front yard that I planted 2 years ago. So if anyone in LA needs aloe, I've got a huge ass plant in my front yard that I planted. Because apparently aloe and rubbing alcohol is hand sanitizer. Who knew? My friend told me that today. Apparently a lot of people know because I went on Amazon to get some aloe gel, and it was like $50 for like a little bottle. So I just hugs, and everyone is welcome. Took screenshots from, okay, that's awesome. Maybe we can somehow gather everyone's handles and email it. Did everyone put their handle in by now, or are we still waiting on anyone? We could just email it to you guys so you can keep in contact. Yes. All right. You're welcome, Jane. Appreciate that. Yeah. All right, y'all. Oh, wow, there's more. Oh, man. FemiFest. Oh, that's awesome.
I'm super excited because this is like my first exposure to all this, and I'm not even performing yet. So it's like, man, this is legit.
Amazing. That's awesome. Where are you from?
I'm living in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
So from Northern Virginia near DC.
NC. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thank you. I heard you on Tiffany Van Boxell's podcast the other day. So.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I was on the Star Singer podcast. I mean, we recorded it like a month ago or something like that. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
This is probably new, but I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you guys come back tomorrow. I hope my computer is working better. I just need to like spend the time configuring it and doing all the things. But anyway, stay safe and healthy and all that jazz, and much love, everyone. And I'll see you hopefully tomorrow, and we'll post the replay. So take care. Bye, everyone. Bye. Much love. Bye.